friends, welcome back or welcome if you're new here. My name is Stacy and I am the Chapter Conundrum, and in today's video, we're going to talk about 26 books that I want to read in 2026. So this is definitely a video that I enjoy doing. I like creating plans. I like thinking about my goals and what I want to fit in next year and just dreaming of all the possibilities of the exciting books that I can get to. So similarly to 2025, if you watched my video of this last year, I divided this list into 5 categories, but then this year I obviously have one extra, which we'll talk about later. But I've kind of divided the rest of the list into 5 categories with 5 goals of 5 books for each of those goals, kind of thing. So this also kind of touches on some of my reading goals for next year. But there's also some categories in here that are just fun ones. So to kick off with the list, the first category I want to talk about is friend favorites. Now, some of these I've DM'd the person and asked, like, hey, what favorites of yours have I not read yet that you want me to read? And in other cases, I just happen to know that this is a favorite of theirs and it's something I want to read, so I've put it on the list. So let's go ahead and talk about the first one. The first one is Quicksilver by Callie Hart, and this is a favorite of Trin's over at Portable Magic. Trin and I tend to have pretty similar reading tastes, especially when it comes to romance and fantasy romance. Not necessarily as much with horror, but definitely this is one that I'm curious about. And I know that she absolutely loved this and is like really excited to read Brimstone. So I'm definitely eager to give this one a go, especially since I own it. My next pick is Venomborn by Benjamin Averin, and this is a favorite of Fina. I did ask, which of her favorites I hadn't read yet, and she just said Benjamin Averin in general. But seeing as I own Venomborn and I don't own Rainfallen yet, I figured I would give this one a go. I'm really intrigued about this one based on the premise as well. So hopefully I end up loving it as much as she does. Next up, I decided to go with a favorite of Nala's from Here There Be Stories, and I settled on The Prison Healer by Lynette Noni. So this is a fantasy romance that has been recommended for fans of other series that I have enjoyed. I forget which ones at this point, but the premise of this is intriguing, as well as the fact that Nala really enjoyed this has me really intrigued to get to this one sooner rather than later. Another friend that I actually DM'd and checked in with was Pat Savat, who is one of our Discord mods over on Bookish Drummer. And he has several favorites that I have not read yet. But one that I really, really need to get to that is also a favorite for him is The Will of the Many by James Islington. So I'm hoping that 2026 is the year I finally get around to this one. I have heard people say that they had wished they either reread book 1 or that they read book 1 and 2 closer together. So now that the sequel is out, it seems like a good time to start picking up this series, especially given that this is a 5-star prediction for me as well. And the last friend that I chose for this is Ian from Ian the Reader, and I want to read The River is Waiting by Wally Lamb. So he read this, I think, mid-year in 2025, and definitely had some interesting things to say about it. He did say it was a depressing book, and I think my husband Jake also read it. In fact, he did. I had the audio of this on hold for my library, and my hold came in, and he borrowed it and read it before I was ready to read it, and so then I had to put it back on hold, and now I'm waiting again for it. But anyway, this time around, I don't have to compete with Jake for it, so I should be able to get to it when the hold comes in again, and I'm definitely looking forward to checking this one out. So another one of my goals or things I want to kind of work towards in 2026 is just reading some of my physical books. But, reading just any physical books I own didn't seem like a very exciting category. So my next couple categories are kind of like further narrowing that down. And the first one of those, since Christmas is approaching, I figured Gifted to Me was a good one to go with. So the first one on this list is The Belly of the Boat by KJ Parker, and this is the second book in the Fencer trilogy. Now, I have not yet read book 1, but if you watched my 1 to 10 TBR challenge, book 1 is on there. So I figured if I'm going to start the series, I might as well continue the series. And this one was gifted to me by my sister-in-law, and also hearing things about the ending of this one in particular was what got me interested in the series in the first place. So I feel like it's definitely one that I'm going to want to read the sequel sooner rather than later after reading book 1. And I thought it would be a great addition to this list. One that was gifted to me by my husband Jake is Deep End by Allie Hazelwood, and she's a contemporary romance author that I have read several books from and enjoyed all of them. So I'm sure to have a good time with this one, and I just need to get there. Going back to a 5-star prediction that was gifted to me several Christmases ago that I have just been slacking on, and at this point everyone just needs to yell at me to read it until I do. I'm going to add Blackstone Heart by Michael R. Fletcher to this list. And definitely, this is going to play into things I enjoy. It's grimdark, it plays with the amnesia trope, and you get slow reveals of memories across the course of the book. So I know that the pacing is going to be excellent. I'm probably always going to have questions and things to wonder about, and also simultaneously be getting reveals and answers. So this just sounds like it's going to be amazing for me. This is probably all different, but it's reminding me or giving me the same vibes or feelings that I had when I read King of Thorns by Mark Lawrence, and Broken Empire is definitely a favorite for me. So I'm really keen to check this out, and I don't know why I keep putting it off. I just need to get there. I got this one from Niko over at Niko's Book Reviews. My next one is one that I have already gotten for Christmas early this year, and it is By Blood by Salt by J.L. Odom, I think. Yeah, J.L. Odom. This is an indie fantasy, and I have heard really interesting things about this. Also, the premise just sounds really fascinating and definitely has some buzzwords for me. And this was kindly gifted to me by Fina, and she also put in her note that it sounds interesting to her and she wants to buddy read it. So we were DMing earlier tonight trying to figure out what month we're going to read this in. I think we've said June potentially. But yeah, I'm definitely really excited to get to this one when we both have time to buddy read it. And the last gifted book I want to add here is The Final Strife by Sarah El-Arifi. This is one that I've heard good things about from several friends who have similar reading taste to me, and it also has an interesting premise with several buzzwords for me. Sadly, I can't remember who gifted this to me. I'm pretty sure it was before I had a channel. I did go back to see like some of my earliest book hauls, and I was hauling the sequels, which were also gifted to me, but I'm pretty sure that I was gifted like different ones in the series from different people just through my wish list. So I'm not actually 100% confident who gave me this one, but I'm definitely eager to get to it, and I do know that it was gifted at some point. My next category is books that I hauled, specifically that I picked out and purchased that I hauled in 2025. I'm definitely interested in all of these for different reasons, and they are very different from each other, but it should be interesting to see how I get on with these. The most recent of those is Hard Reboot by Django Wexler. This I found on Black Friday sale, and I'm pretty sure it deals with like a robot arena and battling. So it just sounds interesting. Plus, it's nice and short, and I'm always looking for more short novellas that I can add to my TBR when I want something easy breezy and quick. And it's also blurbed by Sylvain Nouvelle, who I've read the Themis Files as well as some novellas by and also enjoyed. He says, I came for the giant robots and stayed for the giant freaking robots tearing each other to shreds with blades. I mean, what more could you ask for, right? Moving on to a contemporary romance, Behind the Net by Stephanie Archer, the first book in the Vancouver Storm series. So if you haven't yet heard me mention this on my channel, this is a hockey romance written by a Canadian author. And hockey romances that I've picked up and read in the past, I get frustrated with because in the cases of the ones that I've read, it was very obvious that the author didn't understand hockey. They weren't a hockey fan. They didn't watch hockey. Like some of them had descriptions in there of hockey things that I'm like, this doesn't even logically make sense. So knowing that this one is by a Canadian author and that it was specifically recommended to me by someone in Trin's Discord after I had mentioned that I had that problem with other hockey romances, and also knowing that the love interest in here is a goaltender and page 1 mentions the Vezina trophy, it's clear that this author actually knows a thing or two about hockey, so I shouldn't have that issue with this one. And I also have been really enjoying contemporary romance by Canadian authors as of late. So this one is probably going to be a really great time for me, and I'm excited to get to it. Going with something that I found at a used book sale, but that takes up some space on our shelves because it is a hardcover, Off the Air by Christina Estes. Now, I don't normally reach for cozy things, but the premise of this particular one sounded a little intriguing to me. It's about a journalist who's investigating a murder, but before this victim was murdered, she did the last interview with them. And so I think maybe she just feels a little bit more compelled to kind of try and figure out what happened. But yeah, it will be interesting for me to pick up and try a cozy mystery. I don't think I ever have before. So this will be interesting. Another thriller that I picked up on a whim used book shopping because the premise sounded interesting is Hide and Seek by MJ Arledge. And from what I know of this, it follows a murder that's happened inside a prison. Somebody was like mutilated and killed within their own locked cell. So it's obviously clear that this was an inside job. And the tagline says it's a wicked game of cat and mouse, which is definitely something I tend to enjoy. It sounds like it's going to be high stakes, intense, and just leave me wondering about a few things. So I'm definitely keen to try this one. And the last one on this list, I also found used book shopping, but this time a fantasy, and that is The Maleficent 7 by Cameron Johnston. So I have yet to read anything by this author, even though I own 3 of his books. I'm hoping to correct that very soon. But the line on the back of here that kind of sold me on this is like, to defeat this new foe, she needs to reunite her old captains again: vampire, necromancer, orc chieftain, war god, twisted alchemist, and pirate queen. That just sounds like a really fun ragtag group of characters. I'm sure this is going to be kind of wild. But also, from what I know of this author, the other books that I own of his are dark fantasy. And so I'm thinking that, unlike typical ragtag type fantasy reads that I have picked up in the past, this one may have a more serious dark tone to it. And I'm definitely eager to kind of see that blend play out. And I also know that this deals with demons, so that sounds kind of interesting. And also the blurbs on here kind of make me think it might be a little bit more on the serious or dark side. I mean, it's blurbed by Anna Smith Spark, who definitely writes grimdark. You also have Rob J. Hayes saying this is like Kings of the Wild smushed together with Suicide Squad. And Publishers Weekly saying there's never a lull in the action. Fans of grimdark fantasy will find plenty to enjoy. So I'm definitely hoping that that is correct and I will like this one. So my next category is something I always have plans for. It's buddy reads and read-alongs, and I've definitely got some 2026 plans. Kicking things off, we're going to start with one that is planned for January: Beyond Redemption, the first book in the Manifest Illusion series by Michael R. Fletcher. This was gifted to me last Christmas by Pat, and even I have the gift note in here. He says, "Merry Christmas. I've been meaning to read this one for years. Maybe we could buddy read it next year." And basically, as soon as I opened it, we said, okay, we're making it the newest fantasy read along for whenever we have space on the read along. That happens to be this January. So this has been in the works for a whole year, and it's definitely one that intrigues me. So I'm excited to finally buddy read this with Pat and whoever else on the Discord wants to join us. The next one is going to be a buddy read with Tori over at Tori Talks, and we're going to be picking up The Folding Knife by KJ Parker. So each of us have previously read KJ Parker, but not this particular one, and we're both intrigued by this one. I actually saw this over on her 26 to read in 2026 video, and then kind of said, hey, let's make it a buddy read. So go check out her video if you haven't yet. I definitely enjoyed watching her version of this, and we ended up with a fun buddy read out of it. And I think we're going to be picking this one up in May if anyone would like to join us. A new release that I'm going to be buddy reading with Fina in February is going to be Dead in the Water by John Mars. And this comes out January 20th. This is going to be a true standalone thriller. So if you know about John Mars, he writes some books that all take place in the same universe, and then he writes true standalones. The universe books do have a reading order to them, but the true standalones can be read in any order at any time. This is going to be a true standalone. And also, the premise of this is wild. It's kind of giving me a little bit of like vibes from Vicious, but different. And essentially, in this, you have somebody who I think accidentally drowns, and as it's happening, their life flashes before their eyes, but they end up seeing something that they have no memory of. And so, after they're resuscitated and brought back, they start to question that and try to look into it more. And I think they put themselves in situations where they try to make their life flash before their eyes again to see if they can bring up more memories of this. So this definitely sounds like it's going to be very high stakes, tense, and intriguing. And I'm definitely curious to see how this unfolds. My next pick on here is the thrill, chill, or kill pick that I'm probably the most excited for 2026, and that is going to be Sherry LaPena's new release, Getting Away with Murder. This is coming out, I think, at the end of July, and I'm pretty sure it's our August pick for Thrill, Chill, or Kill. I'll link up in the cards the announcement video for all the picks if you want to go check that out over on my husband Jake's channel. But we always buddy read a thriller or horror over on the Discord every month, and this is one that I'm particularly excited about, mainly because I have read probably like 6 or 7 other Sherry LaPena books and enjoyed them all at this point. So I'm definitely curious to see what she has in store with her new release. Then the last buddy read I've put on this list is A Winter's Promise. And this is the first book in the Mirror Visitor Quartet. And this is going to be a buddy read with Kelly over at Coffee Cups and Books. So both of us have previously started this series and we're enjoying it, but we need to do a reread in order to continue and finish out the series now that the 4th book has been translated to English. And I definitely remember enjoying the books in this that I had read. So I'm eager to get back to this one and find out what happens, and also to read it along with Kelly and get each other's reactions to everything. This is one that has probably one of the most interesting magic systems that I had read in a while. Our main character in here can read objects' memories if she touches them. And this is really only told through her perspective. So sometimes when she reads other characters' objects' memories, you get interesting insight into things with those characters. So it definitely makes for some interesting writing choices. And yeah, I'm just eager to find out how this series ends. My next category is something that I work on every year, and that is sequels. And there are a few that I am really desperate to read and just really excited for. The first of those is Valor by John Gwynne. Malice is a favorite of the year for me, and I still have not yet read Valor. What the heck am I doing? I definitely need to pick this up next year, and I definitely want to do so before I forget too many details of Malice and theories that I had while I was reading that one. I'm eager to see some things and some clues and foreshadowing maybe come to fruition, and I definitely need some answers, so definitely eager to get to this one. Since we are hopefully getting Red God in late 2026 and we are doing the Red Rising read along, I'm going to say Dark Age is one that I finally need to get to. So this will be a first time read for me, and I had purposely been putting off picking up Dark Age and Lightbringer until we had a closer release date for the final book, because I know how Pierce Brown ends some of his books, and man, did they make you want to pick up the sequels sometimes. And I did not want to be in for the worst wait of my life. So now that the release time is finally nearing, I'm super hyped to pick this one up. One that will finish out a series for me that I've been loving. I think every entry in the series has been at least a 4-star. Goldfinch by Raven Kennedy. This is the 6th and final Plated Prisoner book. And basically, ever since I finished book 5, I was like, man, I just need to finish the series. I know what happens. I'm desperate. And yet I still haven't gotten here and still haven't picked it up. So 2026 is definitely the year I am finishing this series. I think, to be fair, part of it is that I was buddy reading this with Sharon before she passed away. And she passed away like right as we were set to start book 5 together. And I did read book 5 regardless, but it was also kind of a weird experience for me because the grief was fresh. And we had also just been talking so much about everything going on that it just kind of felt really weird to have like all these reactions and thoughts on the book and just not be able to share them with her. So that is part of the reason that I kind of like put off picking up the final book for sure. But I do know that she would have wanted me to finish the series. So definitely 2026, I'm going to do it. Another sequel that will finish out a series for me is Volume 8 of I Hate Fairyland, Happy Endgame. So this is a really fun graphic novel series that I've been enjoying. I really like the humor in here, and a lot of the fantasy plot elements are fun and unique as well. The sass and the attitude of the main character Gertrude in here is partly what makes it shine, and I am just excited to see how this one ends. I'm pretty sure that it's going to be the final installment, but also I know that the author has said that other installments were going to be the final installment and then they weren't. So we shall see if this ends up being truly the final one, but it's definitely the most recently released one. I believe it came out this past August, and yeah, once I get my hands on it, I'm eager to read that one. And then the last sequel in this category for me is one that I have been putting off for far too long, but that I know I'm going to enjoy because I really liked book 1, and I reread book 1 in an attempt to have time to move on to the sequel while it was still fresh, and still didn't get there because I got busy and just didn't have as much reading time. And that is going to be Jade War by Fonda Lee. I actually even enjoyed my reread of this even more. I think partly because I went into Jade City the first time with incorrect expectations, because people on BookTube had been talking up kind of like the action-based elements of it and the magic system of it, and those really aren't the focus of the book. I mean, yes, that stuff is there, but it's not like the bulk of the content of the book. It's more about the family drama, the politics between the clans, and those types of elements of the story. And I really enjoy those aspects of it too. So, yeah, definitely one that is long overdue I need to continue with, and I'm excited to get there. Then for my 26th book, I decided to go with my most anticipated release. Now, I will say my most anticipated is actually Red God, but we don't have a firm release date for that one yet. So I decided to go with my most anticipated that does have a firm 2026 release date. And that is Daughter of Crows by Mark Lawrence. This is the first book in a new series for him. From what I can tell, it's not going to be connected to any other series. And the main reason that I'm looking forward to this so much is that Broken Empire is a favorite. It's very grimdark, and Mark Lawrence himself has said this is his return to dark fantasy. He has even said, like, if you look up the Goodreads reviews for this, the first one is him, and he's like, I have written a dark book here. I know how dark his books can get, and I also know that he's going to have nuance to this character. Why is she making the choices that she's making? What has led her down this path? She's going to have an interesting backstory that we're going to get to explore, and he's definitely going to make me feel all type of way with how he connects the character's past experiences to the awful things that are happening in present day. I'm going to be really curious to see if this one ends up being told in multiple timelines throughout the whole thing as well, like Broken Empire is. But even if not, I'm definitely sure to enjoy this one, and I'm really, really looking forward to picking it up. So that was it for the 26 books that I want to read next year in 2026. I mean, obviously, there's so many books I want to read next year, but these are the 26 that will work towards goals that I have for myself in my reading next year. Definitely let me know down below in the comments which ones you're excited for me to pick up and get to. Which ones are you reading next year? What's your most anticipated release of 2026? Are you going to join in the buddy reads for any of these? Tell me all that good stuff down below. As always, thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe on your way out if you want to, and have a great day. Bye.